This plenary takes place at Nottingley School in Wakefield, with a third set class in geography. The class is doing a thinking skills exercise, in which groups of 4 have to reproduce a map. But each team member is only allowed to see it for 2 short periods. The task requires that pupils plan their strategy and monitor their performance.
And what I want you to do now for 2 minutes is to talk with your group and to come up with what we call a plan of attack. Okay, a plan of attack, setting out your strategies. And I want you to think about how might your group transfer the information from the map, and what strategies have you used before that could be useful. I want to hear you talking to each other, sharing ideas. But going around talking to different groups, you've taken away strategies that we've used in other lessons and begun to adapt them. I don't think anybody has got less than 2 strategies on that piece of paper, which is excellent. You've thought carefully about who's going to do what, how you're going to start off, okay, who's going to take on what roles. Some people are dividing up the map, okay, some people are going a completely different way. Right then, number 1's 20 seconds, off you go.
Each pupil gets a chance to look at the map twice, with a stop to review strategies after they've all had one go.
You didn't listen to that instruction, that's it, good. Liam, back you go.
The teacher watches, listens and talks to the groups as they do the task. She uses this information in the final plenary.
Those up next, what could they be looking up for? Names. Now, excellent. We've used a variety of strategies, a variety of techniques. Some people have changed them, adapted them as you did the tasks. And what I want to know now is how did you do it? Let's have Elena.
We divided the top bits all into different sections.
Okay, so to divide the map into sections. Any other strategies that were used? Aidan?
Literally, just went on, looked at 5 and just remembered it all in our heads, and so don't forget that when we got back we just wrote the 5 down because we kept saying it over and over so we didn't forget it.
Okay, 2 things there. Collect only 5 pieces of information. Okay. And repeat in your head. Repeat over and over again. Aidan felt, I can only remember 5 pieces of information, and he repeated them over and over again to make sure they were secure in his head. Okay, good. So, what were we doing at the start? When we did our plan of attack, we were planning what we were going to do. Okay, we were planning our different strategies. Whilst we were doing it, okay, we were testing it, weren't we? Do you remember that? We had that before. Testing our ideas. Experimenting. And checking. Group at the back, Aidan's group, they were checking that he got the right information. He knew when he came up, he wasn't looking anywhere else than other in that bottom right-hand corner, because he knew when he got back they were going to check, and they did. And that's what we do all the time, isn't it? We plan and we check, we go over. Okay? How do you think doing an activity like this would help you if you arrived at Rome with your travel guide? How would it help you get around? What you might look out for? How would you use the map? Peter?
You get used to the map, to where things are.
Okay, you get used to it. How have you got used to this map, Peter?
Memorising it.
Okay, so what would you look out for when you were in Rome, walking around with your map? What kinds of things would you look out for?
Famous landmarks.
Famous landmarks, okay. You pinpoint. Why would they be helpful?
Because then you'll be able to pinpoint where other things are.
You could almost orientate yourself, we say, okay, work out where other places are. What else might you look out for?
Rivers.
Why would the river help you?
Then you know that you might be on the right side.
Excellent. You might know whether I'm on the right bank, as they say. Which side of the river? Am I totally lost? Okay, but which side of the river am I on? Excellent. There's a pattern emerging, isn't there? Okay, of the strategies we've used. Okay, a pattern that let's try and document to get down so we can understand exactly what's been going on. Okay, so for many of us, we started off looking at shapes and outlines. Okay, so we got down the outline of the map, either by using the river or by using the railway line. Okay, some of you marked down the different districts, some of you even mentioned the colour. It was David who spotted this colour that he could use. And once we've got the outline, it's then we start adding what? What do we start adding to our map when we've got that outline? The main shapes, the main sections. Keely?
Miss, we put roads in because once we've put the roads in, then we can it's split up in smaller sections and each of us can find words out at sections then.
Good, so we've got the main outline, then we divide into sections, either using roads or maybe perhaps minor railways if there is. Then what do we add? Then what are we beginning to add in? Jolene?
Like art pictures and that.
Yeah, the place names, isn't it? The different places and the pictures. So we're then adding in the detail. Okay, do you see how that's worked? We've gone from the outline, on the outside to the river, main features, divided it up into sections again, and then into those sections begun to add the detail. Okay, we've seen the whole picture first. Okay, and then begun to add in the parts. Just like, remember, if you were writing an essay, if you were planning an essay, you might want to know exactly what you're going to put into it, and then you need to think about, well, how am I going to divide that up? How am I going to structure it so it makes sense? Okay, so it's a skill you could use in other areas, not just in geography. So look at the whole picture and then beginning to add in the details. Okay, good. And in order to help us to do that, you've been planning your strategies, testing them and checking them, making sure that they work, okay, checking with each other, okay, sharing ideas, okay. Are you always going to be in group situations? No. Okay, so what must we begin to learn to do? Okay, we've been learning, sharing ideas as a group. What must we begin to learn to do now? Gemma?
Like work on his own.
Okay, being able to take away those skills and use them on your own. When will we need to do that, Gemma?
When we're on his own on the table and we're not in groups, don't have to do group work.
Because it's not all the time that we could do group work, is it?
No.
Okay, but remember there's a range of strategies that you can use. There's no right or wrong answer. Some of us like to look for the landmarks, some of us went for the roads and the rivers. There are different strategies, but because you've worked as a team, what have you discovered? Jason?
More information about landmark and more names that you discovered.
And you've learnt what? What have you learnt about what different people do?
That more strategies work better and to find more and more names.
Okay, so you've found out a different range of strategies on your table, haven't you? Okay, and then by sharing with other groups, we found out, well, other groups do some completely different things that may be suitable for something you were trying to do. Okay, last point, John.
Miss, it's easier to work in a group than by yourself because there's more brains included and it's more easier.
Why is it easier?
Because it's not as hard.
Because what are you doing? What are you doing with each other? You're helping each other.
Helping each other out.
Okay, sharing.
Working together, yeah.
Just quickly to finish off, there's a little sheet here entitled Going on Holiday. Okay, and I want you to think about how would you make sense of a map of a strange place, thinking about what we've done today and the ideas that are on the board. And I've put, what skills might you need to pack? Okay, because instead of just packing your clothes, what thinking skills are you going to have to take with you as well?